In this kitchen sink lesson, let's start File New. Up to the word File, down to New, give yourself a sandbox to play in. You know mine, Web Default 960/560. We are going to, in this lesson, explore the creation of brushes. Brushes are very important to creating artwork, and it makes sense we can make our own, so let's do that. Let's start with the Brushes panel right here. I'm going to drag that out. I am in the Essentials workspace. If you don't see it, you can always find it right under the word Window. Now, this is a brand new document, and that's what you get in a brand new document. We want to make our own brushes. But remember one thing, Adobe Illustrator is document specific. So let's say you have a blank document open and your goal is to make some brushes. So you're just using this document as a palette to try things out. So you get them and they're up here, which is cool, but then you close this document and you don't save it, and guess what? You lost all your brushes. So don't forget at the end of the procedure to come up here, assuming you want to save them, and say Save Brush Library, because we have a lot of libraries here, but you don't have yours yet. You want to make sure you do that. Now let's start, go back up there again, and go into New Brush. We have 5 different kinds of brushes that we can use. Now 3 are lit up, calligraphic, bristle, and pattern, because we make those right now from scratch. We don't need anything. But scatter and art require we have something selected before we work through the process. So let's do this. Let's start with the ones we have. Calligraphic, click OK. Calligraphic brushes typically are kind of like that, aren't they? And we can click this arrowhead here and give it an angle. You want a precise angle, click here and type in, say, well, 45 degrees, whatever. You got a roundness here. I already did that up there. And a size, let's make it a little bit bigger. Something maybe about like that. You do have options. Fixed is predictable. It's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. But you also have things like random. That can be kind of fun to work with. Pressure, like a drawing tablet, stylus wheel, etc. We'll leave things at default so you can see how this works. And click OK. There it is, right there. Come over and pick up your paintbrush tool and come over here. The paintbrush has an asterisk next to it, meaning I'm doing something new. And draw. Now notice how it changed after I let go, made it look, well, actually a whole lot nicer. If you double click on the paintbrush tool, and we've been here before, you have your options. Like fidelity is the number of pixels, minimum pixels between anchor points. You can increase or decrease the complexity. Smoothness is how smooth it is when you let go. You can even make that up to 100%. Do you want to fill these areas in with a color? Most of the time the answer to that would be no. Keep selected, I usually leave on. Edit the selected path when it falls within X number of pixels. 12 is the default. Click OK. So that means right now I can draw a new path. But if I get close to this one within 12 pixels, I can, if I want to, add to it. That's our first brush. Let's do this. Control A. That's Control A in Windows, Command A on a Mac, and delete. We still have it up here. Second brush, bristle. Now click OK. I use, actually, in oil painting, a lot of these types of brushes. I use a fan brush a lot. So let's do a fan brush. There it is, and that's what it's going to do. Now, all your options are down here. We can make it bigger. We can change the bristle length, the density. Let's lower that down. The thickness, opacity. Now, we can go all the way this way and make it solid color. I don't. So I'm going to take that down. And finally, stiffness of the bristles. We'll leave that one alone. Click OK. And here it is down here. So we have our paintbrush selected. We have this selected. We can change the color too, don't forget. We're just working in black. And there you go. Now let's say you like that, but it's not quite what you want. You would like to watch it change so you can kind of see what's going on. Leave it selected. Come over here and double click right here. Your options are back, and you'll notice that if I change things, it changes them down there. Now let's say, I don't know, say you like that better. So you click OK. Now watch what happens. Let me bring that up. That brush is in use. Some of the strokes may have overridden its options. Do you want to save it this way or leave the strokes? I want to apply it. And you've just modified the brush. Up to you. Let's go ahead and get rid of that one and go back up again for number 3. Number 3 is pattern brush. Click OK. Now, a pattern brush allows me to work with a pattern. Now, we do have patterns. Let me get out of here for a second. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. We do have patterns in our swatches, and we did talk about making patterns. So we've already done the making of the patterns. Let's just use the defaults that we have. We got a couple up here. Go back again and click OK. Now you have the ability when you click on these, that's the outside corner, the paths, the inside corners, open lines at the beginning or the end. Everyone has control, and you do it right here. There's Alicia and Jive, which are the only two we actually have. And let's go ahead and do that one for that. And for the paths, let's do Alicia. It's showing you what it's going to do. Now again, remember, you can make your own paths. You can stretch to fit. Well, you can actually see it when it does it if you want to change them. Colorization, tints and shades, U-shift. We'll leave it at default. Click OK. Pick up the polygon tool and draw a polygon. Now come over here and choose this. You know what that looks like? Almost. Looks like a wreath, like maybe a summer or spring wreath that you would hang on your door. I didn't expect that, but that's kind of interesting. Don't forget you can make your own. Let's do this. Let me get rid of that. Say we come over here and let's do a star. And let's do a polygon. Just like this. So let me make a polygon right about here. So we got those two. Let's give those colors. Let's color this one thing, because right now it doesn't have a fill at all. So let's come down here. Let's make that one yellow, and this one an obnoxious blue. What do you say? So we got those two. Now we have to make those patterns. So let's leave this one selected, go up to the word object, and go down to pattern define, or make actually. And we don't have to change it. Just click OK over here. And there it is. It's showing you what it's going to look like. And let's go ahead and get back out up here. Say done. Let's do the same thing with the star. We're making our own patterns. Simple, but we're making our own patterns. Click OK. Come back over here. Okay, so we've got those two patterns. Let me go ahead and move this up here. Same idea. Come up here and go into New Brush, Pattern. Okay, now on this one, tell you what. Change the corners. Click here, and you can see we now have our new pattern here. Well, you get the idea. You can make your own. Click OK. Do a polygon this time. And there you go. Now we could take out the fill, I suppose. That might be, so you can see it like that. You can make your own patterns, or you can use the ones that we have, and we can use them as pattern brushes. Now, can we use it with the brush itself? Yes. Let me do this. Control-A, delete. Pick up your brush, and pick that up, and draw with that. In this case, since there are no corner anchor points, it's just going to use that one shape. Control. Change it if you want to. Go to this one. Okay, Control-A, delete. Now, the other two require that we have something made. So maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of what I had up there. Let me go ahead and just make a little something like that. Maybe a star. We'll keep this simple. That's called a kiss method. Keep it simple. And give those different colors. Okay, now select them. Now go back here, and we now have the art and the scatter. Now scatter, well, let me do that one too. Click OK. What you're doing here is you're scattering the brush. You have size, spacing, scatter, rotation. We'll leave that stuff alone for now. Click OK. And there it is. Let's go ahead and pick up our paintbrush tool. Now I'm going to deselect this stuff and then select the brush. Otherwise it would change that. And basically it's scattering it along the path. Now once you've done this, you can double click again, just like we did with the other brush, and play around. You know, maybe size, scatter. And it just changes how it looks. Get it the way you want it to be. Actually, let's leave that at, let's go random on that. And there you go. Scatter brush. The last one we have, you still need something selected, is art brush. Now, an art brush is kind of interesting. Let me click OK. What it does is, number one, you define which direction it's going to go in. I usually use left or right. You can go up, down, whatever, and try them differently. It stretches to fit the stroke length or scales proportionately or stretches between guides. If I click OK, just leave everything normal, and come over here and paint with it, and you can see it right here. Here it is. It stretches the shapes to fit the stroke from beginning to end. Now, if you come into some of our brushes, like artistic brushes, and you go paint brushes or scrolls or whatever, let's do paint brushes. You can see some of the brushes like these. See how it does them? It depends on how long the stroke is. You control them. Don't forget, if you're done and you've made these brushes and you like them, you need to come here, come down to here and say Save Brush Library. Give it a name, allow it to save it in the brushes area. So the next time you need them, when you come up here, they will be here under User Defined. That's it. Make your own brushes. Get creative.